Hey everyone, I just want to go over some details about the expanded essay assignment that's coming up. And the first thing I want to say is that if you've been doing all these steps, you're going to be prepared for this. And again, we're breaking this down into a draft first so that you'll have a chance to get some feedback. So I know writing a long research paper can feel daunting and overwhelming, but you've been putting in the work and you're ready. So first of all, a draft is due on Monday night. And I want to just review with you the basic requirements for that draft. The purpose of this draft, the most important purpose is to get you launched in the writing process so that you're not all doing it at the last minute. But during the week, you will share the draft with several of your classmates. I'll have you in peer workshop groups, and you will give feedback to your peers, and you will get feedback from each other as well, focusing on content issues. And I will also read that feedback, read that draft, and go over it with you in a conference with me. To get my feedback, you must sign up for a conference with me. I'm not planning to give written feedback on this. The feedback will be via the conference. So make sure that you sign up for that. I'll talk about that in a minute. The draft should be about 1,200 to 1,500 words. In most fonts, that's roughly 4 to 5 pages. Please don't make it any longer, or if it is longer, remember that you should mark which 4 or 5 pages you want us to read. The reason I'm asking you to have your draft be a little bit shorter than the entire essay is simply because of time. I'm going to have to read about 30 of these drafts in about a week, and I will not have time to read full drafts. So please try to keep them to 4 or 5 pages just for now. Eventually, you'll be writing a longer paper, adding more to it, okay? So the works cited list is optional at this point. You've already done a tentative one for your prospectus, so you can attach that. That would make sense, but that isn't part of your word count. Again, this could be any 4 to 5 page section of your essay. If it were my draft, it wouldn't have an introduction yet because I tend to write my introductions last. Or maybe you are planning to add a background paragraph or expand on some reasoning later. You can fill in the gaps later. You could include notes to your readers. For example, my intro will go here, or another paragraph on reasons for whatever will go here. If you think it will help give your readers a sense of what you're doing with your essay, feel free to leave those quick notes for us too in your draft. And of course, the draft should be double spaced. That's just because it's a lot easier on our eyes when we read, okay? Now, this is a draft, and so it doesn't have to be perfect. It won't be perfect. It's just a draft. But I would like you to put some time into it. I don't want you to treat it as a super rough draft, because if it is very, very rough, then you won't get as much meaningful feedback from me or your peers. So the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of workshops and your conference. So please take that draft seriously. That draft is worth 25 points, and I am grading that on completion. So if it's at least 1,200 words long, and a draft that works toward this assignment, not just cutting and pasting your exploratory essay, you will get all 25 points. If you just cut and paste your exploratory essay, if you don't, that's a problem, obviously. If you're a little bit short of the word count, you'll lose some points, but you'll still get most of the credit. So 25 points just for getting the draft done. Even if it's rough, it'll get those points. Okay, so let's talk about those conferences with me. As usual, you'll sign up via the Calendly link that I always post in content and announcements for where to make an appointment with me. I'm going to add a bunch more times so that you'll have more to choose from. That link is also at the top of the syllabus, by the way, and in my email signature. If you cannot find a time that works for you, please just email me with a couple of other alternatives. I realize that some of you have really tight schedules, and I will do my best to try to work with you. Please don't be a no-show. If you take a time, use that time. If you cannot make that time, cancel it as soon as you know that you can't make that time, so maybe somebody else can use it, okay? It's gonna be tight for me to try to squeeze everybody in. So please make sure when you commit to that time that it's gonna work for you, but if something comes up, like your boss makes you come in for an extra shift or you get sick or whatever, just reschedule. The conferences will be about 15 minutes long, so please be on time because I won't want to be late for my next person. So we'll have to keep on a tight schedule. And then I will expect you to take notes during the conference. Again, I'm not planning to give a lot of detailed written feedback because of time constraints, but I will be talking with you about my observations and I'll want you to take notes on those, okay? All right, we will also focus, as I alluded to earlier, on the big picture issues of content and structure. I'm not going to be picky, and your peers in workshop groups aren't supposed to be picky either about things like punctuation, smaller details like that, because it's a draft, right? So we're going to be looking at the big picture stuff. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say about the draft. Some reminders about this project. As you remember, I've put this in a couple of places so far. You may adapt your exploratory essay material to suit the purposes of this assignment. Obviously, you can't just cut and paste your entire essay, but if there's a paragraph in your exploratory essay where you explain a good reason for wearing school uniforms and how they help students, and you want to you can cut and paste that into your draft and adapt it and use material. Remember, this is an expanded essay, meaning you're expanding on work you've already done, so it's okay to take your own material from previous assignments, including your prospectus, and expand on it, adapt it to this purpose. You may also use sources from your exploratory essay. Again, I've said this a couple times, so I know you know this, but I just want to remind you, if you had a really great couple of articles in your exploratory essay, you definitely should reuse them here, okay? Feedback. I expect you to read the feedback on previous assignments and apply it where necessary. So if I mark something in an assignment that's incorrect or that I want you to clarify or something, I really expect you to address it where applicable in this draft and in your expanded essay. Remember that showing awareness and responding to reader feedback is a course objective, and it's in the rubric for the long essay. Okay, so in particular, make sure you look at my feedback on your prospectus and tentative plan and the exploratory essay that you're expanding on. I'm going to do my best to have the prospectus and tentative plan graded as soon as I can so that you can use that feedback for your draft where it applies. Okay, so let's take a look at the assignment itself. I'm going to go here into D2L. This is week 12's content. And I asked you in week 12 to read the expanded essay assignment, so I assume you've all looked at this already, but let's just take a quick look. Read this assignment carefully. Watching this video is not a substitute for reading this assignment because I don't have time to go over all of the details. Now, the requirements here are indeed requirements. These are not optional. To get a C or higher, your essay must do all of these things that are listed. Remember that the 1,750 word count comes from the IAI, the Illinois Articulation Initiative. This is what we commit to all English 102 classes across the state that are part of this transfer agreement. So that word count is not negotiable. And then I also want to mention these source requirements. You should have at least 5 written sources, including at least 1 scholarly journal article and at least 2 located through OneSearch. Remember, they can overlap, right? The scholarly article could be located through OneSearch, for example. Okay, again, the works cited list is non-negotiable. I've given you lots of resources on D2L about how to do that. Again, please apply my feedback on the prospectus works cited list. Okay, formatting stuff is here, double-spaced, indent your paragraphs. You should have a title. I guess I didn't say that here. You should have an original title. Okay, other reminders, I've already talked about evaluating what you can use from your exploratory paper and expanding on it when it's appropriate and adapting it for this new persuasive purpose. Reading feedback, stuff about citation, I'm reminding you of the resources. And then remember not to overdo the quotations. The final version of the paper is 200 points. Okay, that's 20% of your course grade, and you must do passing work on this essay to pass the class. That's another English department requirement, not just my rule. And again, here's information about the draft. The peer review, I'll give you more guidelines about the peer review when we get there. I'm going to try to make it uh, helpful and productive for you to give feedback that will help your peers and to get feedback from your peers that will help you. Here's the rubric. You'll notice that it looks similar to the rubrics for the exploratory essays, but it is more detailed. Remember that you'll be required to synthesize your sources, cite multiple sources for a single claim, for example, just like the sample papers have done. Again, I want to call your attention to this part of the rubric. This one is new. The writer has responded to reader feedback where applicable. Notice that I'm also being more picky about the formatting of the works cited list. Before now, I just wanted you to have one, but now I'll be pickier about your works cited list formatting. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to say for now, but you know what to do if you have any questions. And again, I just want to remind you, if you've been doing the steps, you should be well prepared for this essay. Bill and I both want you to succeed. If you're still needing help finding sources, sometimes we're finding sources until the very last minute. If you want any help with anything research related, you can ask Bill or me for help. Otherwise, I will look forward to giving you feedback in our conference. Take care and reach out to me if you need anything, if you have any questions at all. You know what to do if you need extensions. It's been the same all semester long. All you have to do is ask. I know this has been a difficult semester for a lot of us, but you're almost to the end. You've done a lot of work, so we just need to get this big project done, and you will be almost done with the semester, okay? So have fun with this if you can, and take care.